Islamic capital was developed in 1950s and the first Sukuk was issued in 1885 by Ottoman Empire. Till now, Sukuk still remain viable instruments in Islamic finance for countries, individuals, and investors. Good morning and welcome to another interesting edition of the Islamic Finance Weekly, where we bring you perspective and analysis on how the non-rated finance market can serve as a veritable tool for growth and economic development. This episode of the program will focus on Islamic finance and the development of Nigeria's debt market from a recent presentation by Mrs. Adaze Uzor-Kalu, Head External Relations FMDQ Group. Giving a presentation, Mrs. Adaze Uzor-Kalu stated that the concept of Islamic finance is about funding the real sector in alignment with Sharia provisions, and also highlighted the prohibitions in Islamic law and various contracts that are permissible for investing. Watch the video.
Now, the concept and the tenets of Islamic finance is about funding the real sector. Okay, so Islamic finance is finance that is specifically in line with Islamic law, and also to ensure that whatever is prohibited within the law are not in the structuring of Islamic debt, so Islamic finance. For the prohibitions, we just talk about riba, for example, which is the interest element. There's gara, which is about ambiguity in contracts. Haram, which is financing whatever is dangerous, like alcohol, tobacco. And then we have mesa, or let's say speculation or gambling. So these are prohibited elements in Islamic law. And so when you're structuring a transaction, you want to ensure that these elements are not in within that transaction or in the project. So you have various contracts that are permissible, but I'll just highlight a few of them that are familiar or that are, I'll say, more common. And we have the profit and loss sharing concept. We have joint venture, which is Musharaka. Forgive me for my wrong pronunciations, if any. We have ijara, which is leasing, and we have istisna, which is advanced payment sale that can be used for, let's say, for housing finance. So, according to Islamic Finance Development Report, the total Islamic finance assets is about 2.88 trillion so far. And there's obviously a forecast for growth in this with this asset. We have Islamic spending forecasted to 2024 to be about 2.4 trillion. This is what analysts are expecting using the CAGR growth rate. Currently, Islamic spending is geared towards media creation, modest fashion, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and obviously Muslim-friendly travel, and that is estimated at 2.2 trillion recently.
Speaking on the Islamic Finance Development Report, Adaze said Islamic finance asset was estimated at $2.88 trillion in 2019, and also give further insight into the evolution of the Islamic finance market.
Conventional Islamic finance actually started prior to 1970. So in 1963, we had the Might Bank in Egypt in 1963. But then we moved on to Islamic development banks, which came out in Saudi Arabia and Dubai, and we had products for Islamic banking products in that region. Towards the 1980s, we had the introduction of Takaful, which is the Islamic insurance, and we had Islamic investments, we had commercial banks, other products coming out from there, and then we had the expansion into the Asia Pacific in the 1980s. Towards the 1990s, we had the Islamic Bank in Bangladesh, and also in Pakistan also, and we had more institutions coming on board with asset management companies, broker-dealer companies, in conjunction with the Takaful growing as well, and more commercial banks coming to market. The products also increased over time, and again, these were also mentioned. The polls for me. Products also increased over time with Islamic bonds, Sharia compliant stocks, and Islamic stockbroking. Towards the 2000s, We also now have, in Nigeria, we have a Taj Bank, we have Stanbic. In the 1992s, we also had Bank PHP, if you'll recall, that's no more in existence. But we now had obviously more growth in Takaful, more growth in mutual funds, Sharia compliant stocks as well. And then we also now saw the growth into Europe, America, and also Africa.
Looking at Sukuk as an alternative source of financing, the Head External Relations provided insight on the far-reaching impact of Sukuk as an alternative investment for financing Nigeria's infrastructure and highlighted leading nations in the global Sukuk market.
So looking at the global Sukuk, bringing this home to Sukuk and to where I think we're more comfortable, fixed income and Sukuk. Sukuk is an ownership of certificate. This is for the benefit of the participants who may not know what Sukuk is. It's an ownership of certificate in an asset. It's a tangible asset. Unlike conventional bonds where you don't prove any ownership, you just have a bond certificate. With this, it's really an alternative to conventional bonds. And also the Sukuk is in line with what is permissible under the Sharia law. Now, what are the benefits of Sukuk? And so why would we even post Sukuk to stakeholders or to potential investors? Sukuk is not just open to the Islamic community, to the Islamic brethren. It's also open to non-Islamic religions. So it's open to all. Sukuk is one asset or one alternative investment type that can actually address the budget deficit, if any, and also finance infrastructure, which is one thing that Nigeria needs. It supports the growth of Islamic finance. It also deepens the capital market space and saying, okay, so who are the companies or where are the countries that are actually leading in Sukuk? We have Malaysia that's leading, we have Bahrain, we have Qatar, we have Indonesia, we have Saudi Arabia, we have a lot of other countries. Global Sukuk is estimated to reach 715 billion in Q1 2021, and there's just so much more room for growth. We had the Formosa Sukuk or Taiwan, whereby you can actually issue Sukuk in other currencies other than Taiwan dollar. So there are a lot of innovations coming in terms of the Sukuk and alignment with other ESG principles or other products like green bonds. And this is just deepening and growing this market. If we look at the use of proceeds and say, okay, where are these funds being channeled towards? We have a lot of money or funds going towards the energy sector, renewable energy, low carbon buildings, waste, lands, infrastructure.
Adaze gives a perspective on recent development of Islamic finance in Africa and highlighted some of the significant milestones.
Bringing this home to Africa, we've looked at the international market. We've seen what Saudi Arabia in UAE, what they've done in terms of Sukuk issuances. Bringing this home to the African continent, we have Morocco, who actually issued new legislation to support Islamic finance, and the $116 million bond Sukuk bond in 2018 was actually channeled towards renewable energy, water, transportation, and infrastructure. We also have a Sukuk issuance, sovereign Sukuk issuance in Senegal. We had in Cote d'Ivoire in 2016, 150 billion. We have Nigeria. The central bank has supported with the Financial Regulatory Advisory Council of experts that are supporting and ensuring Islamic banking products conform with Islamic laws, and also ensuring under the FSRCC, there's also the advisory body that ensures the collaboration between the SEC, the DMO, and the CBN and other regulators. And then this has also given birth to 3 sovereign Sukuks and 1 subnational, which is the Osun State Sukuk bond. Again, these are the pillars that are just driving growth in Africa, driving financial inclusion, driving more economic activities, deepening the market, and obviously addressing infrastructure funding. Same goes for Egypt, Tunisia, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, and even Ghana has just also gotten on the onto Sukuk issuances as well.
Speaking on Nigeria Islamic finance market Sukuk, she gave a brief analysis on the remarkable growth recorded so far.
Looking at the Sukuk element in conjunction with the I'll say ethical funding or Sukuk element, is 2.9% of the outstanding sovereign bonds. So out of all the sovereign bonds, 2.9% of that is a Sukuk element. And as we know, in Nigeria, we have over 50% of the population of Muslims. And so this just gives us a good opportunity for more Sukuk issuances in Nigeria. And yes, within the Nigerian space, we have two fledged Islamic banks. We have Taj Bank, we have Jaiz Bank, we also have Stanbic IBTC. And we also have other funds like Lotus Halal Equity Fund, Lotus Halal Fixed Income Fund, FBN Quest Asset Management also have launched, they launched the Halal Fund in 2020. United Capital Asset Management Limited debuted also a Sukuk fund in 2020 as well. Obviously, Fitch obviously also according to them, the Sukuk issuance represents the largest segment in the Nigerian Islamic finance market. So there's a lot of room for opportunity in the Nigerian region. Now, foreign sovereign Sukuk is about 362 billion. We had, like I mentioned before, the Osun State Bond is about 11.4 billion. We also have a private placement that was actually just recently coming to market, about 1 billion. This is a green Sukuk, which is the first of its kind. And we have the DFI by AFC, which is 150 million Sukuk issuance.
On the side of Nigeria debt market profiles and enabling environment for Islamic finance in Nigeria, she said there is room for the growth and development of the sector.
So looking at the enabling environment in terms of what are the stakeholders, the government and regulatory stakeholders doing in terms of creating that environment for more Sukuk issuances, for more development, for more growth of the Sukuk instrument. The SEC are reviewing the capital market master plan. But even at that, with the initial master plan, you do have the Sukuk element, and the objective of that is for more inclusion, of which FMDQ also developed their debt capital market project 2025 on the back of this. The SEC also issued the regulation for Sukuk in 2013. The pension fund operators and therefore their regulators and for investable assets, they also have the Fund 6 out of the multi-fund structure, which is purely for non-interest finance for the RSA account holders. Then we also have the CBN established, like I mentioned, the phrase. They mentioned they established the phrase, which is the Financial Regulatory Advisory of Experts. And this is, again, is to support issuances and certify products and ensure that these products are in line with Sukuk. Now, BOFIA Act also has a Sukuk element to it, and obviously the Investment Securities Act, like I mentioned, also ensuring that there's inclusion and there's a Sukuk element to the revised bill.
Adaze Uzor-Kalu shared how FMDQ is supporting Sukuk development in Nigeria.
How has FMDQ sort of supported this, the development of the Sukuk market? Now, in 2015, as most people may know, FMDQ is an agent of change financial market infrastructure. And one thing that is very close to our heart is ensuring the development of the capital market and the inclusion of all types of fixed income initiatives that can drive the development of the capital market and the growth of the development of the capital market. So FMDQ in 2015 organized a workshop in collaboration with the IFC, supported by the SEC, and this workshop was the implementation of the Debt Capital Market Project 2025. In 2016, FMDQ supported the SEC with the stakeholder engagement in Sokoto State, and this was on non-interest capital national Sukuk issuances in Nigeria. FMDQ Exchange welcomed the maiden sovereign 100 billion Sukuk, and also developed the Sukuk listing rules in 2017. And there was another conference that was actually executed in 2017, the Debt Capital Market Conference, again with the Sukuk element at that conference. In 2019, FMDQ executed another Debt Capital Market Conference and also welcomed the second Sukuk on the exchange. 2020, we received 162 billion sovereign Sukuk on our exchange. And also in 2021, we developed FMDQ private company Sukuk noting guidelines. So this is to encourage companies that are not PLCs to access alternative sources of finance.
She cited the success story of Malaysia and Saudi Arabia as leading drivers of the global Islamic debt capital market.
Now let's take this to the modern market. So one of the successes of Sukuk for an emerging market with Malaysia. And with this, if you remember in 2004, the Malaysian GDP stood at $25 billion. 10 years after that, it was over $300 billion. And what really drove this was the Sukuk issuances in Islamic finance. The government is determined in ensuring that they focus on market education and also focus on developing their economy via Sukuk, via Islamic finance, also kinds of Islamic finance. Malaysia established International Finance Center for the International Islamic Finance Center in 2006 through collaborative efforts with their central bank and the SEC. They also established several academic institutions and to drive market education and strengthen even those from even the youth, and strengthen a lot of market players in how to structure Sukuk instruments. And this is again to develop their market. One key interesting success in the Malaysian market was the introduction of an active secondary market, which is very important for liquidity. And you can actually issue Sukuks in Ringgit or non-Ringgit transaction, which is current local currency or foreign currency. So they've welcomed and really opened this to a lot of opportunity and a lot of growth. One key area is the sustainable responsible investment, again, which is in line, very much in line with the ESG investment, or I'll say green bond investment, or sustainable finance. And so one thing that Malaysia is driving recently is sustainable and responsible investments in collaboration with Islamic finance, and that is just to grow the economy. So looking at the percentage of outstanding Sukuk, you can see from the dashboard that conventional bonds are actually declining over the years, and you see the more issuances of Sukuks. And I think they've seen the light. They've seen that this is more of a safe haven. They've seen this as more compelling, because if the world had actually adopted or embraced Sukuk way earlier, the global financial crisis of 2008 probably wouldn't have happened, number one, and number two, a lot of economies wouldn't have been blighted by that situation. So you can see that a lot of government issuances, a lot of government bonds are Sukuks, quasi-government bonds are Sukuks, and also corporate bonds are also Sukuk. There's room for more asset-backed securities, and there's room for obviously pipeline of transactions from different banks coming together and issuing or refinancing finances for their clients. So looking at the Saudi Arabia market, the Saudi Arabia market is another success story for Sukuk issuances, and one key aspect, or one key thing that comes to mind here is the primary dealer scheme for Saudi Arabia. And this is the local currency where 5 banks actually can buy a Sukuk instrument from the government and on sale through a two-way quote to other investors. And this is just to widen the investor base. A lot of the Saudi Arabia Sukuks, which is huge, they had 12 billion in a space of over 2-3 years in 2014. But the use of proceeds, all the Sukuk types are Ijara, you have a lot of Mudaraba, a lot of hybrid instruments, a lot of Istisna instruments, and these are all going towards the development of Saudi Arabia. So for the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia is leading in terms of Sukuk issuances.
The FMDQ official said Nigeria needs to adopt standardization and robust regulatory framework for Sukuk issuance, and also highlighted what the country needs to develop its non-interest markets.
One thing that we can learn in Nigeria and actually adopt in Nigeria and imbibe in Nigeria is the need for standardization, need for a standardized and robust regulatory framework. And the SEC have done quite a lot in championing this and in ensuring we have the rules, and also FMDQ and other market players like the CBN. They've done quite a lot with ensuring that they have the enabling environment for Sukuk issuances to thrive. There's a need for more market issuances, so we need more Islamic products or more Islamic friendly products, commercial papers, more bonds, and again, more awareness, more market education, more workshops to happen. I think it's very critical also to have capacity even within the capital market intermediaries. It's very crucial that Islamic finance, is right in the face of people so that they understand the benefits of it. And also that people understand, it can be demystified, it can disabuse the minds of investors. They'll understand that this is not just for Islamic or the Muslim community, but also for the non-Muslim community. I think one thing that's critical is enhanced liquidity. So enhanced liquidity through a two-way ecosystem. And I think you have that platform for that to happen. But again, we need more market education and we need more awareness. One thing that's critical now is, now that we have a lot of ESG principles or ESG financing or sustainable financing coming to the market, it's very critical for us to align Islamic finance with ESG principles because they're very similar. As far as you don't have a haram element, you don't have a riba element, and we ensure that those who are knowledgeable in issuances can support in ensuring that every stage of the transaction that we're ticking all the boxes. And I think with that, there'll be more room for growth. And I think Nigerian state can continue to grow using Islamic finance.
Recent reports shows that Sukuk supply is expected to rise in the second half of 2021 after it showed strong growth during second quarter of 2021, supported by strong investor appetite and issuers refinancing and funding diversification needs. The global outstanding Sukuk reached $754.1 billion in the second quarter of 2021, 5% higher than first quarter of 2021. There are bright prospects for the growth of Islamic finance in Nigeria as it remains a major source of alternative financing. With products like Sukuk, the non-interest finance market offers immense opportunities for supporting Nigeria's economic stability and deepening the capital market. And that brings us to the end of today's session. Visit ProcheND.com website to read more on Islamic finance. Click on Web TV Banking channel to watch the Islamic Finance weekly videos. You can also follow us on our social media platform displaying on the screen. Many thanks for watching. See you next week Friday for another episode of Islamic Finance.